I would start seeing posts, which, are obviously from other Gators. First, I thought, this was like very genuine stuff. And then I started seeing some major red flags, and I'm like, I don't know. I can't in good faith recommend this to anybody anymore.
It's the best thing I ever did.
I'm here, Flip Anything USA. So I've got a gentleman here, a policeman who I have a great deal of respect for. It's a tough business being right now. Mike, thanks for being on here, Mike. I appreciate you sharing.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So Mike had written me inquiring. I guess you found my channel one way or another and thought to, ask me on Instagram a couple questions, right?
I did, yes.
And it was pertaining to the Pace Morby Gator method. He gotten into the Gator method and was asking me about, basically participating in this, which I didn't know that much about it, but he gave me an earful. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. So why don't, Mike, if you don't mind, just tell me about how you found Pace. And you told me you started to, you almost entered into the mentorship or whatever he calls it, and just maybe go from there.
Well, yeah, I found Pace. I wanted to get into real estate investing back in 2022, but that market was crazy. My wife and I were looking for a house, and the house we wanted, someone bid like 100,000 over for. So I was like, all right, let's put this all to the side right now. And then, you hear all these, gurus say, oh, we love when the rates are high. So the rates got high, and I started doing more research, just watching people. I didn't really find Pace. I was just watching these videos, a lot of fluff, a lot of, vague things they're telling you. And I was like, okay, cool. So one day my algorithm got to Pace, and I was like, wow, he's getting houses, keeping the interest rates, because, I actually had inquired about assumable mortgages through a bunch of realtors, and I came to find they're very difficult to find. I'm a vet, so I can assume a VA loan, but that's about it. I started watching his stuff, and I'm like, wow, I'm understanding what he's saying. He's, it doesn't sound like it's too difficult. So thing is, I work a lot of hours. I'm very pressed for time.
You want to learn how to make millions of dollars in real estate? I've made tens of millions over my lifetime, and I'm showing people how to do it. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. You don't want to miss my channel. I've been doing it for years. Yes, you're a cop, so you get a lot of mandatory overtime every week.
Yeah, a lot of mandatory overtime. So, when I get forced, it's anywhere from 18 to 20 hours.
Wow.
And that happens. You can ask my wife. It happens very frequently.
No, I know a lot of cops. There's so many cops that they can't wait to quit. As soon as they're vested, they're gone.
Yeah. So, and then, it's quick turnaround time. You get about 4 hours in between shifts, and then you're back. So, I don't really have the time to be, managing. If I was pursuing an investment property, I would probably miss a call easily, and then that could just cost me everything. So then all of a sudden I started seeing the Gator method, and I'm like, okay, this is something I could do. I went all in. I sat through a webinar. I thought it was a live webinar. I come to find out it was completely pre-recorded.
Did they make it appear that it was not?
Oh yeah, it made it look like it was live. It looked really good. And so I talked to my wife, and my wife was very hesitant. She kind of saw right through it, and I was like, no, I got a good feeling, and I'm like, yeah, and then I went, and when I tell you I went all in, I went all in.
Wow. You're not a detective, are you? I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. I let my guard down for once, and right now it's just kind of, and I want a full disclaimer. I'm not bashing the program completely.
So I want to back up because we talked a little bit on the phone before I asked you to do the Zoom. So you were looking at the Pace deal, and you realized you're pressed for time. The one thing was $8,800. But the Gator method was an alternative to that for the busier person to loan money out to other people. And
Yes.
And it was also $4,000 to become a Gator, which means a lender, correct?
Yes.
And now this Gator system, presumably they're giving you leads of people to loan money to.
You got to go find the leads yourself. You don't
Okay.
they don't
What are you
give
paying for? What's the $4,000
so
for?
that's why it cost me 4,000, was because the program was about 3,000. And then for another 1,000, there's like a separate program that teaches you lead generation.
Yeah. So that's the typical thing I hear about, is that people get into a Morby system and then starts not working out, and they go, well, hey, we got something else for you. And so you got into this Gator method, which led to, oh, you need to get the lead generation so you can get the leads and make the deals. But then you told me that you got a nice $2,000 surprise after that.
Yeah. Pace recommends a certain company to establish your LLC. So the price for the LLCs are genuinely reasonable,
How
but
much?
then you pay separately to start building corporate credit. And that's where they have a credit coach teach you, how to get your business in the top credit score type thing.
Oh my gosh, I never heard of such a thing.
Yeah,
Listen, all that
I'm gonna tread lightly of what I say, please forgive me.
Okay. So anyways, the bottom line is though, from what you told me earlier, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you got into this system, you're about $4,000 into this Gator method, and then you're told that you need an LLC, right?
You are told that from the beginning. Yeah.
You need an LLC.
Yeah,
And
Base
then
makes
they
it
want to
very
sell
clear.
you
He
one.
won't even do business with you if you don't have an LLC from this company.
Right. But but you were told that pretty much after you joined the Gator method, correct?
Yes.
So after you
But
do the
you could
Gator method,
watch all of his free content, and he'll say the same exact thing. I won't do business with you if you don't have an LLC from this company. They had me buy two, one for a holding, and one for a holding and one for my state where I'm going to do business out of, and then about $10 a month for each to keep them as a registered agent.
okay. So $850 each for those two LLCs.
$850 total. 850 total.
For
400.
both of them.
Yeah.
And what is the purpose? And then wasn't there, and there's, it's only a $10 maintenance fee? I think you were talking about a $75 a month.
Yeah, that was for their tax program. You pay roughly about $3,000 and then $75 a month to keep them on retainer.
Okay, so you got to keep paying another $75 a month to this
You've already
LLC, the
yeah.
people that formed it, and that was basically Pace said, oh, you got to have that, or we can't do business together.
Well, no, he never recommended the tax thing. Like that was on me.
Okay.
That was completely on me. It's what the company that does the LLCs offers as well.
Okay, so they pitched it to you though, the same company
Yes.
that he
Yes,
pushed.
it's completely on me.
Okay.
I take responsibility for that.
So now you're sitting here, you're about $8,000 into this thing, 75 or $85.
Closer to the 10 mark.
Close to 10 grand. And you said you've in this community, and there's people that are willing to borrow money from you, but you're not so sure you want to loan money to these people, right?
Not anymore, because the program wasn't designed to be for private money. It was designed to lend earnest money. But once you got into the program, it's just flooded with people looking for private money over and over again, because everybody wants to be a connector because they get their connector fee for, finding somebody to lend private money.
Oh, God. Okay.
So,
it just seems like everything is commission. Take this, get that. There's a commission structure within the community, correct? Get people into the group to join, to get somebody that gets money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a commission base. You can start selling. You can sell the program. You get a commission for both of his programs offer that. Yes.
So they're trying to get you to also promote the program to sell it to a friend or something.
Yeah, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't try.
And what's the commission structure?
I don't even know. It's not too much. It's a couple $100.
Oh, you get somebody to spend $8,000, you get a couple hundred.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. No, I've deleted all those affiliate links. I'm not going to do that to somebody else. I don't want somebody else to have the same burdens that I wouldn't do that.
Hey, to your credit.
At first I thought, this was like very genuine stuff. And then I started seeing some major red flags, and I'm like, I don't know. I can't in good faith recommend this to anybody anymore.
Right. So like I say, you've been a police officer for how long?
About 12 years.
And where are you located, roughly?
I'm in Massachusetts.
Okay. Think about this. So yeah, so when you came back to me, and I don't want to share too much, but you basically told me you had a HELOC, that you had access to the equity from your home, presumably, and that you could loan this back out if you wanted to people for earnest money. But and I think, and what I told you after you shared with me is cut your losses and just move on.
Yeah.
Right? And you had already kind of assumed you were going to just write this thing off and not get any deeper.
Yeah, I kind of made my decision on Sunday when I received a phone call to upsell the program.
Oh, what was that all about? They're trying to upsell you to something else again?
Yeah, they tried to upsell it, and after that, I was like, I've already seen way too many red flags, and now you want another few $1,000s from me, like, like I'm cutting ties with this. You know, I'm not a guy that likes to be like rude to people or anything like that. I was just nice, and that's where it all just came together. If you watch Pace Morby stuff and you listen to his stories, you'll see there's discrepancies as he tells the same story continuously.
Yeah. Yeah, I've
and
caught
I
some.
hang
I've
my
done a
hat on
video
that.
on the bunny story. There's $100,000 discrepancy, and another
Yeah.
one on an apartment building. There's $1 million
Well,
discrepancy.
I'm just glad you saw it too, because I'm like, I can't be the only one seeing this.
When
I
you
don't
got-
have regrets. I knew, like, at minimum it was 50-50. It
Okay.
was either gonna work or it was a $10,000 mistake.
Right,
I
right,
knew it.
right. So you're there. You can handle it. You understand. But what I've seen with other people is they kind of go into what I perceive as denial. Like they threw a lot into this. I mean, like in other words, 10 grand ain't as much to you maybe as it is to a young kid.
Oh, it's
But
still a lot, but it's I'm at a stage in my life where I do want to be a real estate investor, and
Sure.
I was willing to put in this money and see what happened and see, I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. It's a lesson learned.
No,
And
you
I'll go
accept
on
what
from
you
it.
did.
I'm just glad. I'm fortunate. I was telling my wife last night, I'm fortunate. Yes, as you were talking about the mandatory overtime, I have a job that offers that.
Sure.
So getting that back will be a little quicker for me than it is for most people.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying that to brag or anything like that, but
No.
I will get it back. It will take a little longer, but it will still be quicker than it will be for most people. And I'm
No.
grateful for that.
Well, I've had people tell me that in Pace Morb is that they were told, even people that didn't really have any money at all, they go borrow the money. Totally worth it. Go borrow the money, which I totally am against. I think if
Maxing
you
out
don't have a
credit
skill set,
cards. Yep.
yeah, I don't believe that. I think it's, and I did a video on a guy that just is one of the most, it was hard to watch. It's kind of a pathetic story. But anyways, I'm going to share a screen with you because this is Pace Morby's website. You'll see at the top of the screen here, it says success. You see that, Mike?
Yep.
Okay, so you click on success stories. You want to see if SubTo is as good as we say? See what our members are buzzing about. Well, so when you go down here and you click on each of these stories, roughly 90% of these people have not done any deals at all. They're hoping they can do a deal, but they haven't done a deal yet. Most of them. In fact, I'll play one of these for you because I remember the first thing I asked you was, what did you think of those success stories? And you didn't.
I haven't watched them.
Presumably, Pace calls these success stories, and most of these people haven't even done a deal. Some of these are only 45 seconds. I tell you, it's worth a watch because
Take a look at them.
there's like nothing here. There's just like nothing here. I mean, you look at that and then contrast that with you go to my site. Rich here, 34 years old, over 1.3 million. Mike here bought 3 houses. This is success to me. I wouldn't have a story that says, gee, I'm really excited. I think it's going to be great. If you know what you're doing and you feel confident in your product, you want comparison, right? This lady here seems like a real nice lady. I won't even play it, but basically she goes on about how excited she is to be in there, and that, it's a great community, and that she's answering questions, and she's, trying to help people. But she admittedly doesn't know what she's doing. So what on earth is she doing? How is she helping people if she doesn't know what she's doing, and answering questions? And that's kind of the chief complaint that I've heard in general about this system is, and this guy, I'm going to go ahead and hit play on this one to see this. Yeah. So
Wow.
that's a success story. I think that if people took time to watch these success stories, they would
run,
have a different perspective. But instead, it just kind of looks good.
I didn't click that tab, wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. Well, listen, I appreciate your honesty. And there's people that aren't maybe in as good a financial position, you don't have the job that you have, that they get into this, and maybe they borrowed money or put it on a credit card. There's one real pathetic soul. I don't want to call him pathetic, but it's a pretty pathetic story. I did a video on that gentleman. And
another Pace Morby student.
He got into Pace Morby, the SubTo thing. And the guy just tried his ass off, and it just looks like he made about, I think, 10 grand over a period of, I don't know, a year or something. This whole SubTo thing, is something that is so impractical and that it is so rare that you'll ever do. And I've done a sub-2 deal before, and I would point to it as a viable alternative or thing to do if it was, but it's not. It's just riff with problems. There's a lot of people think, oh, no, it's okay, you can do it. And then, and if they make you give the property back, problem is if it's not in your name, you don't have the write-off, all kinds of stuff. There's guys that do it. And then the person that was a participant in the sub-2, called the seller, well, they don't even realize that they're still encumbered with the debt, some of them. And then they go get a lawyer and they're saying, hey, you need to pay me off. And if there's enough equity, maybe they'll pay them off. Otherwise, they'll just give it back. But it's messy. It's messy in a way that is totally unnecessary.
And from what I gather, like the contracts that are designed for sub-2, which I've never seen one. So I mean, I talk to sub-2 students on a regular basis. They're designed for like one state, and it just seems like you can just use them in all 50 states. I'm not sure how the sub-2 contracts work, but that's what I gather.
You told me something about you could sense the desperation in the people. And what was that?
So there was people are out there networking, right? And a lot of us end up in the same, social media groups. So I would start seeing posts, which, are obviously from other Gators, just like throwing it out there, like I can fund EMD, message me. And the comments they're in groups of like 50,000 people. They get no likes, no acknowledgement. And it's just like, yeah, like, I mean, I probably sent out, a lot of messages through different social media platforms. And, we've gotten some nice responses, no one's really, rude about it, but, they just say, no, I'm all set. I don't really need EMD or double closings or whatever.
What's MD? I forget. I'm sorry. Or EMD, is that earnest money deposit?
Yeah, the earnest money. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what is so ridiculous to me, is that people are sold on this. Listen, I've made tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of deals, and I use a bank. I mean, I've done some owner financing, and believe me, creative financing is simply owner financing. There's some things you can do to get more creative, but as far as breaching a contract, that's just crossing a line nobody needs to do in the beginning. They just get themselves in deep trouble if they do. The money is cheapest directly from a bank. Private money lending is expensive. That's for the people that are desperate. And then there's really got to be a big margin for it. I mean, I did a tiny bit of private lending, borrowing when I was young, when I was in my 20s. And but it made sense, I borrow 30 to make 60. You know what I mean? It was no big deal. I was doubling my money. If you don't have those kinds of margins, then it's just silly. Which, by the way, and we've hardly talked, but every time you see an image change behind me, it's a property that I've owned personally. I negotiated, I bought and flipped and made money on. And so I just like to show, and I'll get you in a webinar, a live one, a real live one. But I look forward to kind of, showing you and educating you and teaching you. In fact, I'll just show you something real quick, just for the heck of it, since you're here. So I want you to look at this. If you see anything like this from anybody else you've ever talked to, this is where I made my first million when I was in my 20s. And these are all properties that I personally purchased. And I'll show you the first one that I bought when I was 19 years old. And what set me on my, why I'm such a believer in real estate. This building here, when I was 19, I bought this. This is a 5,900 square foot commercial industrial building, 2,400 stick frame in the front, 3,400 square feet of metal building in the back. And then after that, I started buying up, I bought other buildings. I did some flips, or what you guys like to call wholesale deals. The real money is in buying and holding. This little house here I bought for 40, sold it for 56, had a partner. So I took my 7,500 bucks. And then, not long after that, I bought this one down here. This was a FHA loan, I assumed, which you can't really do that anymore. But I turned this into kind of an illegal duplex. I poured this concrete here, took the laundry room, turned it into like a little, what we call the mother-in-law quarters, or you can call it, basically, I turned it into a duplex. House went from making 450 to 750. Turned around and flipped it right away. And then I was on my, I had over $50,000 in my pocket. I was in my early 20s. And then I just started buying anything and everything I could that made sense. A lot of opportunities in land. I've done a lot of land. I bought and sold this property, paid 30 for it, sold it for 165, made over 100 grand right there. As you look back, you'll see that what I've done back then is still what I continue to do. That was around my office and home. This is an area over here. And every time you see a dot in this area, just go times 5, because for every dot you see here, I bought 5 pieces of land.
Oh, wow.
These are all just individual lots. I built a few homes out here too. I'm a licensed builder. I did that when I was about 25. But I would make as much money flipping 3 lots as I would building a house. It took me 6 months to do. So I don't, I know what can be done. And so I try to just help all my students, do the right things. So there's California. There's my first million in my 20s. And then you kind of come to, present day or the last 30 years, I should probably say. Then you kind of get over into Texas, and you can tell if you look out there, every one of these blue dots is a property I own, still own, have owned and flipped. Here's apartments. I made a couple $1 million on these apartments right here. I bought them all individually, but this is a 13 unit. I made about $500,000 on, and then across the street, I bought this for 210, sold it for like $1,055,000 or something, 1,000,001. So this one here I bought, and I made another couple $100,000. But between the two of these, a good $1.5 million, roughly, probably $1.5 million. I don't want to exaggerate. I'll say $1.5 million. I think it's closer to 2 million, but I'll say $1.5 million. I don't like to exaggerate. I don't have to. I could tell you what I made half on all these, and it would still impress most people. This is a little industrial building. I bought this $240,000, and you can see it doesn't have any frontage. It's got a loading dock right here. I bought that for $240,000. I sold it for $1,725,000. Gave me an income anywhere from 60 to 90,000 a year, and that's the power of real estate. And I could go on and on and on. Land, individual lots, houses. It's all out there. You just need a good mentor, and so I always get frustrated when I see people, being misled or looking like they were misled to stuff that just is totally impractical. And and a lot of these guys that I consider fake gurus, and Pace is one of them. I'm going to be honest. I don't think he offers much. Be a specialist in SubTo is nothing to me. It's like a nothing talent. It's rift with trouble. And creative financing is something that's available to everyone. People think it's like some sort of magic thing. It's not. When two people want to make a deal, they get together and talk. One might own or carry, owner finance. There's you just kind of figure out how you can make it work. That's the creative right there. Two adults can pretty much decide and agree to do just about anything.
Right.
But anyways, so Mike, you've seen a few webinars, right? Have you ever seen one that shows you as much property as I just showed you, bought by one person?
You definitely presented a lot of property. Pace has a lot of property. He'll provide addresses, and then you can go and you'll see his LLC owns it.
I looked at some of those, and I was not impressed either. The margins are way too thin. In fact, I was doing the math on it, and I think I make as much money on 20 million as he was claiming to make on 200 million. So I can't deal with those, those kind of narrow margins.
It's something that's definitely easier for you to spot than someone just walking in the door. But I definitely appreciate your knowledge and you sharing that for sure.
I like that you're a cop, and I know you're not going to mislead anybody, but sharing your experiences is valuable to some, and it gives them some perspective if they're gonna do something, if they're gonna spend money with anybody, Pace or otherwise. You should do your due diligence. You got to look into it.
You really got to. And the thing is, I don't know how I missed so much, because I thought I was digging, and I don't know how I missed so much. I don't know. I don't even know how I passed your videos. I really don't, because I was definitely digging and doing a lot of research. I just couldn't find anything. And I'm like, all right, I think this is the guy I'm going to go with.
Right.
And then I made my decision.
All right. Well, maybe they'll give you a refund. Hit them up.
No. I'll, like I said, I'll just work, get it back and restart, and we'll go from there.
Well, I appreciate your attitude, and listen, things can change very quickly for you. I'm frustrated for you, to be honest, because I know you're busy, and a lot of people get pulled into really horrible funds. They invest in funds that are shitty, thinking that they're kind of get overpromised and underdelivered on funds.
Mhm.
But really, I can tell you, if you just take your time, and then you'll see when to strike, and you strike, and you'll get, even if you just buy one house once a year, you'll be worth millions and millions of dollars in no time. It doesn't take that long. You just got to be very selective and don't buy anything that isn't worth considerably more than you pay for it. That's the rule. That's the rule.
Right.
So,
I
uh,
appreciate that, Tom. Thank you.
yeah. Well, so look, I'll look forward to seeing you in a webinar, and I appreciate you sharing with the folks out there. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Well, I mean, like you were saying, you just got to do your due diligence. I mean, if you end up wanting to go to the program, you'll meet great people, but just do more reading. Like you were saying, Reddit. I never looked on Reddit. I didn't always forget about Reddit. So,
Yeah, I've had a
uh,
number of people come in that have complained about it. A lot of people, and they just say, "Oh, what after what I read on Reddit?" And then this, but yeah, if you want to look up somebody, go look up Reddit, and and look up the remarks, and you'll get some history. It's almost like a little Better Business Bureau. Look at the Better Business Bureau too, for some, but Reddit is probably one of the. It'll give you a perspective, right? Anybody can go in there and smear and lie about somebody, but you can get a consensus of enough people. And but buyer beware. There's a sucker born every minute, and there's actually a shyster born every minute too. So it's just how it works.
just how the world works. But
Bear cop, you know better than anybody.
like I said, this wasn't like I hope I didn't make this sound like a bash fest. I mean, I'm not gonna
I don't think so.
complain. I did what I did, and I learned what I learned, and I feel how I feel now. It all happened pretty quick. I mean, buying it felt really good. Then I realized, well, wait, that wasn't even live. That was a pre-recorded webinar. So then I started feeling a little silly, but I was like, I'll move on.
But
Yeah,
at the end, it's what you get for it and what you get out of it, and if it's practical. And so, anyways,
I appreciate it, Tom. Thank you.
all right, man. Thanks very much. And
Yep.
hey, if you're first time watcher, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You learn a lot here. Been doing it for a very long time. There's just no faster way to get wealthy than real estate. But you just need a little guidance. You want to do it right. And I learned the hard way, but I learned when I was very young. It's just wonderful seeing other men, like myself. I see in Mike and others, and I've been where he's been before. And you realize you want to see a path to retirement, you want to see a path to putting your kids through school, and you quickly realize when you get near 40 that you realize you start doing the math. You start doing math when you get older and you have kids, and you start to realize, oh shit, I need to make some more money. Great stuff, Mike. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it, Tom. Thank you. Pleasure meeting you.
You, sir. Thank you. Want to learn how to make millions of dollars in real estate? I've made tens of millions over my lifetime, and I'm showing people how to do it. Get in my free webinar. I have it every Thursday, 7 p.m. Central. Go to the link below, flippanythingusa.com/webinar. Sign up for it. You can talk to me face to face if you want. Don't waste any time. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. You don't want to miss my channel. I've been doing it for years.